Hey guys, how are you? My name is TECHNOFREAK, and today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about a couple things that happened to me this week. A very bizarre week. I am back from the hospital, from the ER, from surgery. For those who didn't see my community posts talking about it or any of my other social media, I was in the hospital, in the ER, getting surgery on my appendix. I had to get it removed. Very random, very weird. I'm gonna go into like what happened, the steps leading up to now, and just kind of what happened. Friday, I wake up at like 10:30 or so, and I was finishing up on Joey's video for that day, and I go back to sleep, wake up a couple hours later, and I just feel this excruciatingly painful pain in my stomach, right where my abs are or so, but it was in the stomach. It wasn't abs, it wasn't a muscle thing. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like I got kicked in the balls, had constipation, and I was hungover all in one go. I just felt like shit. I could not move, could not get up, could not walk, couldn't do anything. And so I was like, all right, so what is going on? Could this have been something I ate? Did I do something wrong? What happened? Not to get into the gross, weird stuff or anything, I'm not gonna do that. But I believe it was the food I ate at the moment. So I go downstairs, lay on my couch, chill out, hang out, watch TV, went upstairs, went back to sleep, and I slept until 6 in the afternoon. Still, same thing, could not walk, could not move. I was at a 90-degree angle walking and I was not having a fun time. The next day, Saturday, the pain is no longer in my stomach. It moved to my lower right of my abdomen, right in the waistband there, and it was just pain, but not as bad. It was manageable, but it was there. So then Sunday came around. I'm like, all right, this is the best feeling day that I had for this. Still in the same area. I was like, the pain is tolerable now, but I knew that if the pain was still there after 3 days, I should probably go get it checked out. And me being smart, I was like, okay, I should probably look into it and just make sure, what am I getting myself into? Just to know what I'm getting myself into. The worst that it could be is appendicitis, which is an inflammatory swelling pain in your appendix. The appendix literally does nothing but filter, but your body already filters, so there's really no point to even having it. It can be caused by an infection, bacteria buildup, or poop gets in the way. The best case scenario, it's just constipation. Didn't happen that way, but it's just staying at how it is. Some of the symptoms for appendicitis was constipation, the pain, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, and a fever. And I didn't have nausea, vomiting, fever, or loss of appetite. For me, I didn't want to eat because I knew that if I ate, then it would cause more problems. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I didn't eat Sunday because I knew that if it were that and they had to do surgery, then it would complicate things. So I didn't eat, didn't drink, but I went to the store, bought a thermometer just to check my temp, just to make sure. No fever. I was like, all right, but there's still pain. Even if it was just constipation, the pain would still be there, so I should probably get that checked out. Go to the hospital, get all checked in, go through the COVID check people, go through the metal detector, security guard, and then to the front desk, and they're like, hi, what are you in for? And I was like, I think I have appendicitis. And they're like, well, we can't rule that out yet. So they're like, well, we'll get you checked out, we'll get you all sorted. I sit down, I wait. Some guy calls me up and he's like, so what are you in for? And I'm like, I think I have appendicitis. And they're like, well, we can't be too optimistic now. I'm like, okay. They're like, what are your symptoms? And I'm like, well, I had a pain in my I told him the whole thing. And he's like, well, all right, so you don't have a fever or nausea, so it might not actually be that, but we'll get you checked out. Just wait in the other waiting room after I was just waiting. So they take me back to a room. They're like, well, get in a gown. I'm like, huh? And they're like, well, if worse comes to worse, we need you to be ready. I'm like, all right. This is my first surgery, by the way. Never had any of this happen to me. I've never really been in a situation like this before. They come in, they're like, okay, we need to do a CT scan. CT scan is like the giant hole. You know, when anybody ever talks about the hospital, they always show like that giant hole that people go in and out just to whatever. That's a CT scan. And basically they just take pictures of different parts as your body goes through it. They had me go through that. I go back to my room. They're like, all right, we got to wait a half hour. Half hour goes by and they're like, all right, you ready to do surgery? And I'm like, No. Actually, they were prepping me for surgery without actually telling me that I needed surgery. And I'm like, wait, so did something do I have? They're like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, you have appendicitis. I'm like, all right. And they're like, yeah, you called it. And I'm like, yay me. Anyway, they get me all prepped. I get my body all wiped down. I go to another table, and I'm in a room full of metal toys and objects and whatnot, machinery, and a group full of people. And they're like, put this mask on. It's a breathing mask. And I was like, all right. They put it on my face, and they're like, start breathing. And I'm like, I'm breathing. And they're like, you need to breathe in. I'm like, all right. So I just start breathing, and then out. Then I wake up to the Super Bowl halftime show on somebody's iPad, and I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, I look at the time, and it's like 7 o'clock, 7:30, 6:30, something like that. So I had been in surgery for an hour and a half. From the time that I went to sleep all the way until I woke up, I was in there for an hour and a half. They take me to my room in recovery. Basically, the process of the surgery and how they did things was they do 3 incisions in a triangular shape on the opposite side of the appendix. So they don't just cut like a straight line above the appendix and then dig it out that way. They got it to the point where they do 3 cuts on the left side, go over to the right side, cut it out piece by piece until the whole thing's out, and then they pull it out through the left side. Not sure why they do it like that, but they do it like that. But anyway, so I'm in the room and I'm sitting there recovering. They pretty much were like, here's some ice. We're gonna give you Tylenol whenever we think you need Tylenol. And that was pretty much for 24 hours while I was there. I was there after surgery from like 6:30 until 6:30 the next day on Monday. They made sure I was okay. Every few hours, like, people would come in, do my blood pressure, make sure my temp was good, just checking on things. And the only thing that kind of bothered me was when the doctor came in. He basically was like, surgery went well, I'm a good doctor, we did a great job, you're out tomorrow, and then walked out. And I'm like, well, wait, I gotta go. All right, cool, bye. And then even like the nurses or the people like that, they didn't like go into depth of how the surgery went, what we were gonna look for, if things were gonna go bad. Like, they didn't get into the specific info like I wanted to. Like, they went into my body and I was out for that, and I didn't know what the hell happened during that. So I was kind of upset about that. And then even when I asked them about it, they pretty much were like, well, look for infection and ice it and Tylenol, and that was it. Like, they still didn't really give me a lot of info. And I'm like, so on the CT scan, did it show anything? They're like, oh, just that your appendix was bigger. I'm like, I mean, even then, it's like, I'd still like to see the, if it's like an x-ray or if it's just like words or whatever, that's one thing. But if it's like a picture, like, I'd like to see what my body looks like. But other than that, it was straightforward process. Like, I cannot sit up. I can't do any ab workout. Like, I can't move forward. So getting out of bed is kind of a pain in the ass, but luckily I've got arms and legs to, bend and propel me out of situations or positions and whatnot. But yeah, so I can't drive for a week at least, and then I can't lift more than 20 pounds for probably, I know for a fact, at least a week, if not 2 weeks. And then in 2 weeks I go back to the doctor for a checkup, and then after that, then I should hopefully be fine after 4 to 6 weeks or so. But I cannot work for, at bare minimum, a week, which is not good because I've got like $1,400 that I need to pay within like 2 weeks. So that has been my story on my appendicitis and my surgery and where I've been and all of that. It's just, man, 2 years ago, like maybe a week prior, 2 years ago, I hit a deer and totaled my car. It's weird. It's like the same time every single year something bad happens to me. It's like I have my birthday and then the universe is like, ha, you survived another year, but we're gonna kill you in the next 2 weeks. But just, man, it's... One thing that I did learn from the whole thing is that it's definitely motivated me to do things. And with now my availability and the things that I can do now, or the things that I can't do now, which results in me doing other things, I should be able to make more content along with editing his stuff as well. I'm in a different state of mind now. Hopefully with me saying that and me going through all of that, I should be able to make more content, hopefully. I hate this come and go shit. But anyways, that is me explaining where I've been, what happened to me. I am home. I'm okay. There's still some pain. I'm not gonna show you guys what like physically. I'm not gonna show you guys all of that. But yeah, how are you guys doing? Anyway, if you guys like this video, like and subscribe. Comment below how you guys are doing, what you guys thought, and yeah. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.